Cooper that won the championship title from Sean Babington by just a single point, and only a point behind them from Finland was Mika Laiho. Mika's kart is on the second row of the grid here, being driven this time by Rasmus Markkanen. So we know it's a quick driver, we know it's a quick kart, and the junior is just 15 years of age, qualifying very, very well indeed on row number 2. Let's see what he can do in the race. Kevin Ludi, as I say, from the Euro Challenge regulars, was the highest placed seeded driver that we've got coming back to this International Open, having finished 8th in the championship. Very strong performances. I think he was in the top 10 in pretty much every round of the championship. So very solid drive, some wins in the heats as well. Good drives in wet conditions at, I think he got pole position, didn't he, at Salisbury, when he picked the right tyres and changeable weather conditions. Got Andreas Batman on pole position, who just missed out on a top 10 spot in the Euro Challenge. The Strawberry Racing driver did manage to get one podium finish. That was at the PF International Circuit, where he finished in 3rd place that day, behind Sean Babington and Barry Pullinger. So he got that one podium finish. Had a stronger second half to the season than a first half to the season, as he got used to the karts and the setup and the racing. Alessandro Minetti, the multiple world karting champion, came in late into the series, missed the first round, but won the Masters division from last year's champion Christoph Adams. And Florent Lambert, who's here, has lived in the UK for 20 odd years, but originates from France. And Florent finished 3rd this year in the Masters Championship. So they're on to the second formation lap. Again, this is going to be a 9-lap race. And we'll have the same grid for the other 2 heats later on to come. So Andreas Batman, the Swedish driver, leading them around. Tadeusz Makino alongside Rasmus Markkanen, Sean Slavin on row 2, and Anthony Abbas and Jan Vuncek complete the first 3 rows of the grid, the top 6. And they are now being bunched up with his green and white kart, green and white race suit, and the strawberry and Tony kart colours. Andreas Batman now starting to back up the field through turn 7. Marshall's waving the yellow flags to slow everybody down, ready for the rolling start, to squeeze them all back up together. What can Tadeusz Makino do from 2nd on the grid? Seeing good clean starts through the first corner so far. It seems to be at turn 2 where they bunch up, where they hit the brakes. That's where we've seen 1 or 2 skirmishes so far in the first 2 races of the day. With the white helmet, Rasmus Markkanen, his first DD2 race start. Straight up from juniors, a big leap up, but he's coping admirably so far with a good team behind him, MPT, and a good kart and a good driver. It's a good combination, but what can he do from the second row of the grid? We'll find out now as the race gets underway, as bits are bumping and boring further back, and one goes off the road already. Number 780, Thomas Pearce, is forced off onto the grass even as he goes across the start-finish line, but the race leaders now making their way through with, I think, Batman coming under fire from Makino. Markkanen, he's still up there in the mix. They go safely through the second turn and coming back up towards us. As Markkanen maybe slipped back a little bit coming through there, possibly. Through comes into turn 4. The race leader, though, it is still Andreas Batman who's got the head of the field here. Makino in 2nd position. Markkanen has slipped back a bit away from those top 2 and into that second group of karts. He's now fallen. The rest of them safely through the first few turns. The only one, as I said, that went off the road was Thomas Peart, number 780. The leader coming under a bit of pressure now, Andreas Batman, as he makes his way through the right-hander at turn 7, then left through turn 8. Trying to look up the inside there was Makino. He's going to have to be careful to defend his 2nd position here as he attacks for the lead of the race. You go offline, you've got to make sure you attack and get through cleanly, otherwise you'll give your position up to the guy behind, which in this case, no, it is Makino down in 3rd place, Markkanen in 2nd, Makino down to 3rd, Abbas 4th. Sean Slavin is 5th at the end of the first lap. Damo Caballero is the next through in 6th position. Batman coming under pressure from Markkanen down at turn 3 for the lead of the race. But Markkanen running deep into the corner and losing all sorts of ground there and losing a position. So Makino back up into 2nd place. Markkanen down to 3rd position. And Sean Slavin, I think, has got himself up to 4th place ahead of Anthony Abbas running in 5th position. Everybody through, except I think for Peart. Peart's not managed to come through at the end of the first lap, having been pushed off onto the grass as they came together in the middle of the pack, or 3/4 of the way down the field. Lots of bumping and boring over the start-finish line as they try to weave around. And one or two fell victim to that. The race leader stretching his legs nicely on this second lap of the race. Andres Batman has pulled out, I'd say, about half a second or so as he crosses the line from Abbas. Abbas has come through to second place, not Makino, I apologise. It's Abbas that's come through to second. Slavin's third now, so he's gained a place. Markkanen slipping back to fourth. Damo Caballero has come up to fifth place, and Makino is there in sixth position. Vuncek seventh, Al Rahawi eighth, Nomi's ninth, and up into the top 10 has come number 686, Ken Alleman, the Swiss driver. First, second and third go through. No dramas there, but fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth and ninth are all tied together in a pack here as they make their way through into the middle of the course. Through into turn 6 goes the race leader. Andres Batman has got a 6/10 of a second advantage over Anthony Abbas. And Abbas, in turn, has got something like 6/10 of a second over the third place kart of Sean Slavin, who started the race from the second row of the grid. And then Markkanen trying to make his way back up the order as well in that second group of karts, having been second in the first lap or so of the race. And now back up into third, and has just set his personal best lap of the race. So watch for Markkanen now. He's got back up into third position, trying to catch back up to these top two. Fourth, fifth and sixth joined by seventh, eighth and ninth now. Sean Slavin coming under attack down into turn 3, and we've got a spinner from that group as well down at the third turn, trying to identify him as he comes back around. He's going to drop pretty much to the back of the field now. So a spinner from that second group of karts from inside the top 10. Batman, Abbas and Markkanen the top 3, and the gaps between the 3 of them coming down now. Sean Slavin is still there in fourth place. Damo Caballero right behind him in fifth. Vuncek had just come up into the top 6 at the start of that lap as well. And now the gap from first to third was 1.2 seconds at the start of the lap. I suspect it's going to be well under a second this time around. Certainly looks like Batman is being reeled in by Anthony Abbas in second place, and they're both being caught by Rasmus Markkanen in third position. Through they come. 62.4 for the leader, 62.5 for Abbas. Actually, the gap creeps out ever so slightly, but a 62.3 for Markkanen. So Markkanen in third place is about 1/10 quicker than the top 2, and the gap coming down ever so slightly. Slavin, then Damo Caballero, then Vuncek, 4th, 5th and 6th. Makino down to 7th. Nom is 8th, Alleman is 9th, and Christensen is in 10th position. And the one that fell down the order was Al Rahawi, number 670. So Sanad Al Rahawi was the one that fell down the order. He was in that second group of karts. He was in and around the top 10. But Al Rahawi, I'm afraid, is now down to 24th position. He's the last of the runners. We lost Thomas Peart early on. Coming through turn 7 then, the race leader, Andres Batman, working hard to maintain this advantage of around about 4 or 5 kart lengths that he has over Anthony Abbas, number 687, who's come from the third row of the grid. 5 laps complete. We're into the second half of the race. 4 to go. Sean Slavin ducking down to try and make himself a bit more aerodynamic in 4th place. In 5th place, it's Damo Caballero. Vuncek is 6th. Makino still 7th. Nom 8th. Alleman and Christensen 9th and 10th. In the Masters division, we've got Tamsin Germain, who is the best of the runners, in 13th place. And she is a couple of places clear of Florent Lambert, who's in 15th, and Martin Pierce, who must have had some dramas at the start of the race. Probably he was one of the drivers caught up in that start line incident. He started to come back up the order, but he's only 3rd in class at the moment. He's 17th overall. So watch for number 781, Martin Pierce, trying to fight his way back up the order. But for the time being, Tamsin Germain leading the Masters division and doing a good job. Not too far away from the top 10. She's not far behind Kevin Ludi, who finished 8th in the Euro Challenge this year. So through they come to start a fresh lap. Andres Batman looks like he's got this under control. He's pulled another 1/10 of a second clear of Abbas. Abbas 4/1000ths quicker on that lap than Markkanen. So it's stabilised between the top 3. Sean Slavin is quicker than all of them though. So Sean Slavin in 4th place, a couple of 10ths quicker than the race leader, trying to catch them up. And if, I don't know about the leader, but if 2nd and 3rd start battling, which it looks like they're about to do, Sean Slavin could still get into the top 3 here. Certainly on this lap, Markkanen is beginning to fly after Abbas now. So Abbas was slightly quicker on the previous lap. At the start of this lap, third, he's catching second, and he's almost with him now. So through they come, keeping an eye on the Masters as well. Jermaine's still there in the lead, but Lambert has got onto his tail now, Martin Pearce. So Martin Pearce onto the tail of Florent Lambert for seconds in class at the beginning of the lap. And that could switch around, and Martin could be up to second in class by the time they come around again. So about to complete the 7th lap of the race. There are 2 laps to go. Andreas Batman leads. Second and third, though, are virtually nose to tail now, with Abbas coming under pressure from Markkanen as they go through turn 1, down into turn 2. Is he close enough? Not quite is the answer. Through the turn they go, accelerating out of that, through the left-right flick and down towards turn 3. There are 6 or 7 overtaking opportunities on this lap. That's one of them. Running too deep into the corner is Abbas, and he's going to come under pressure now around the outside into turn 4, but he just about closes the door in time. And Abbas there, you can see second and third absolutely together as they run through the shot. That's Slavin in 4th position, and no change, but the gap's coming down and down from second to third. There's a good battle going on for 5th place as well between Damo Caballero's hanging on to the place from Vuncek, and Makino's coming back into that mix as well now. So Makino back into the mix in that group of karts. I think he's got to the head of that group now and back up into the top 5 for the Japanese driver. Andreas Batman is about to start the final lap of the race. He comes out of turn number 9 and goes across the line. It's been a controlled drive, this, from Andreas Batman. 1 or 2 laps in the middle of the race where they kept him under pressure, but since then he's just gone on with his business and carried on along the way. It's Vuncek actually that's got up into 5th place. So Vuncek up to 5th position as they come back through this time. Second and third. Is there going to be a change here? Sean Slavin is still flying after them. He was half a second quicker on that lap, but he can't quite get onto their tail. He could do with another lap. I think he might have to settle for 4th place, Sean Slavin, but he's had very good pace for the last 2 or 3 laps in this race. Andreas Batman down into turn 6 for the final time. Hanging on to 2nd position is Anthony Abbas. In fact, he's pulled away ever so slightly now, by a kart length or so, from Rasmus Markkanen. Sean Slavin there in 4th position. In 5th, pulling away from the rest of them, is Vuncek now. 2 corners to go then for Andreas Batman. He goes successfully through turn 8, through the left-hander, slows the kart up, and then this big, expansive right-hander through turn 9. They accelerate through that, runs out towards the curb, and then crosses the line, takes the checkered flag. Andreas Batman wins the first race of the day in DD2. Anthony Abbas fending off Rasmus Markkanen to come home in 2nd place. Sean Slavin across the line in 4th position. In 5th place then was Jan Vuncek, the Austrian driver. And then completing the top 6, we had number 674, Oriol Damo Caballero, comes home in 6th place. Tadasuke Makino started the race in 2nd. In the end, he comes home 7th. And then in 8th place, we had the Finnish driver, number 679, Morten Nom. In 9th place, we had number 686, which was Ken Alleman, the Swiss driver. And in 10th place was Michael Christensen. There's the results, provisional results, subject to all the post-race checks on screen. Andreas Batman winning the first heat of the day in DD2 then for Strawberry Racing. Anthony Abbas for Sodi Kart was nearly 2 seconds behind in 2nd place. He beat Rasmus Markkanen by a few tenths of a second to 2nd place. Well, it was much, much closer than that going on to the final couple of laps. But Anthony got his head down and the French driver managed to pull away in the end to take that 2nd place. So Batman, Abbas and Markkanen the top 3. Sean Slavin was reeling them in at the end of the race, but ran out of time, so he's 4th. Jan Vuncek 5th. Oriol Damo Caballero 6th. Tadasuke Makino 7th. Morten Nom in 8th. In 9th place, Ken Alleman. And in 10th place, Michael Christensen. 11th was Kevin Ludi. 12th was Ravo Luza. 13th, Enris Gruber. And Tamsin Germain held on to win the Masters division there. So Tamsin in 14th place. And she held on by about a second from Martin Pearce, who came back through the order and got himself back up to 2nd place after trouble on the first lap of the race. So Tamsin Germain wins the Masters division. Martin Pearce is 2nd. They're 14th and 15th respectively. Maxi Fleischmann comes home in 16th place, and Enrique Baptista comes home in 17th position. Florent Lambert was 18th, and that puts him 3rd in the Masters class. He just lost out to Martin Pearce in the last couple of laps of the race. Tom Pitlick was 19th. Placido Adresani was 20th. Sanad Al-Wahawi 21st. Juan Taran 22nd. Ilja Aloskins 23rd. 2 laps down, Jesus Perez Santander was 24th, and Thomas Peart failed to make it through the first lap of the race after being bumped off the track over on the start line. Thomas Peart failed to finish and was classified down in 25th and last place. So that's the first 3 of 9 races that we've got here for you today. We are now about to head into the lunch break here in Zuera in Spain, where the local time is 12:19, and our next race will start in just about 1 hour's time at 13:20.